Hi, I'm Trisha at Club Scrap. Welcome to the Round and Round card kit workshop. I've got my kit ready. I have my cameras ready, my accordion pocket file to help us stay organized. I've got that ready. And by the way, if you don't know what this is and you want to stay organized while you're card making, I've got a starter kit to help you turn 3 12 by 12 sheets of paper into this handy organizer. So take a look at that. I'll put the link to this project in the description of the video so you can follow along. And while you're there looking at the description of the video, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button to the Club Scrap channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming workshops. Okay, so I'm going to take this little organizer and place it against underneath the base of my Fiskars trimmer. Also, if you need a trimmer like this, I highly recommend it. I'll add the link for that as well below. And I've got my Round and Round page kit here with the instructions downloaded and printed. Now remember, printing's optional. You can follow along however you like. And I'm going to take all of the ribbon, everything included in the box, and set that aside except for the paper. That's what I want to work on first. Let's sort this all out into the order we'll be trimming it. And I want you to first find one sheet of the dusty blue color. Now let's compare the dusty blue. Next up, I want you to grab a sky blue. So the dusty is definitely a lot darker. Grab one sheet of the sky, then one sheet of manila, and one sheet of the gold color. Now this gold paper is so pretty. It definitely has a deep texture on it. I would call this a felt finish. On one side, the felt is going to be a little deeper, a little more texture. The other side will be more smooth. I consider that the wrong side of the paper, so I'm going to place it wrong side up, right side down. And I want to find all those colors one more time. So let's do the dusty blue, the sky blue, the manila, the gold, texture side going down, then the 2 8.5 by 11 ivory we've included, 2 prints, put those face down, and then we got some Cutaparts here. So let's take the Cutapart that has the 4 really large and then 4 slightly smaller sentiments on the edge, and then this last one has like the little border on the outside edge. Okay, so that'll go face down. Take the entire stack, flip it back over. We're starting out with our dusty blue. And I'm turning back to page 1 in my instructions. I like to put my untrimmed paper to my left, and then I get my trimmer in the middle. I usually keep my instructions at my right, just if you want to sort of learn how I approach this, you don't always need the video to make the cards. This is a great way to start learning. If you're just starting out, I also recommend perhaps considering putting your playback speed on your YouTube channel settings to 0.75. 0.75 is going to really slow me down so that you can keep up comfortably. Once you master this method, and it's masterable, I promise, you'll keep up just fine at normal speed. And, you know, if you watch it at 1.25, let me know. I'd love to see that happen. It's going to be great. Okay, I'm taking this sheet of dusty blue. Before I trim it, before I even place it in the trimmer, I want to be assured that the grain direction is going the right way. So on my little diagrams and instructions, you're always going to see an arrow. The grain direction matters. And in this case, it does, because eventually we are going to be folding this paper. And I hate folding paper against the grain. Okay, so pick up the dusty blue, hold it by an edge, and give it a wiggle. And then rotate to a neighboring edge and wiggle again. Right away, the paper even sounds different. Like, listen. So the grain direction is dipping most easily from here to here, right? It's dipping. And that's the way I want it to go into the trimmer, dipping top to bottom. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut 2 papers at the same time. If you don't feel comfortable with that, no problem. Just trim one at a time. It's all good. So I'm checking the grain direction of this sky blue. Listen. Doesn't make a sound when it's going with the grain. Cool, right? All right, stack them neatly together. And our first cut right out of the gates is at 11 3/4. Just a few more quick reminders. I usually find my whole number, which is 11, and then I use the columns on the base of my trimmer to find 3 more quarters. So 11, 1, 2, 3 columns to the left. Takes me almost to the 12, doesn't it? Make sure the paper is level up here at the top and then push down firmly on this clear bar. And there we go, we're off to the races. Then we're gonna move to 10 1/4. So that's 10 first, and then go left 1 column. Stabilize on the clear bar here. And then 6 1/4. So 6 plus 1 column to the left is 6 1/4. Rotate that 6 1/4 inch piece so it's horizontal, and let's trim. Got unneatened. Make sure your paper's nice and neat, and cut at 10. Now this piece, pair of pieces rather, right here, this is going to grow up to become a card base. So instead of filing it into my handy organizer, for now I'm going to set it aside, and when I score it, then it'll go into the organizer. A little strip fell from the end when we made that cut, and I want you to trim it at 6. So again, firmly push on the clear bar. I don't want that paper moving around. And then this strip of paper, that's gonna go in pocket B, bravo. And there were 2 tiny little strips that fell from the end. You can just, you know, get rid of those. All right, now we still have this longer strip here, wider, longer. It's currently 4 by 12. We're gonna make a few twists and turns here, so follow along carefully with me. Our first cut is at 6 3/4. So 6 plus 1, 2, 3 to the left. And then 3 1/2. Now rotate the 3 1/2, and we're gonna make a square. So cut at 3 1/2 again. This square, pocket A. You've got 2 little scraps that fell from the edge. You can just get rid of those. Sometimes I put the scraps in pocket D because if I decide I want to use them later, I can. Now this other rectangle that fell, I'm going to place it in the trimmer horizontally and cut at 3 1/4. Here, you just made another square, and I'm just going to point something out. These squares that you just made fit on top of the previous ones you just made, they're all going in pocket A. Once again, you made a pair of little scraps. I'll put those in D because I didn't use them. And then you have this larger panel remaining, also going in pocket A. Next up, we've got this strip. It's 1 1/2 by 12 right now. We're gonna make some squares. All right, so let's cut at 10 1/2, 9, 7 1/2, and 6. Now the 6-inch piece, place it in pocket C, Charlie, and you just made a series of 1 1/2-inch squares, and all of those are going to go in pocket A. Now you might want to know where you're headed. So this is card set A. Do you see the squares? That's what we're making. Did you see the larger squares? We just made those and put them in pocket A, and even that larger panel, we're going to make that as well. So I just kind of a peek ahead. I've got a plan for every piece we're trimming except for this long piece. I didn't use it, so put it in D. You can always get rid of it later. We're gonna repeat that whole thing one more time. So I'll take the manila, dipping top to bottom of the trimmer, nice and quiet that way. And then this deeper color here, this gold, if you can't tell by just dipping, push inward on the paper. This is an easier push than this for sure. So I want it pushing in easily from top to bottom, stack neatly, and we're just gonna repeat the process. So we cut at 11 3/4, 10 1/4, and 6 1/4. Rotate and trim at 10. Here you just have those 2 more card bases to join the others in the pile that you're setting aside to be scored. Take the small strip, and we're going to trim that at 6. The strips go in pocket B, bravo. And then you have the 2 tiny little scraps that you can throw away. Something fun about doing that. All right, now let's take this guy. We're going to make a couple of panels. Our first cut on this one is 6 3/4, 3 1/2. Now rotate the piece of paper that's in the trimmer and trim it again at 3 1/2. Pocket A on this bad boy. And then 2 small scraps for D if you want to put it in there. And then We got this rectangle. We're going to trim it at 3 1/4, which creates another square for pocket A with the 2 scraps going into D. Then you have this last larger panel, pocket A. Let's make some more squares from this 1 1/2 inch strip. So our first cut is at 10 1/2, 9, 7 1/2, and 6. The 6 inch piece, pocket C, Charlie, and then the remaining squares, A, apple. Again, didn't use the 1/4 inch long strips. You can incorporate those easily though. They're kind of fun to use sometimes, so just hang on to them in case you change your mind. All right, then we're gonna do another formula 4 times, and all of the papers need to be placed in the trimmer with the grain dipping easily from top to bottom. So dusty blue is first, dipping top to bottom, then sky blue. Stack neatly. First cut, 11 1/4, and then 7. Rotate and trim at 10. Boy, lots of 10s here. Okay, this is going to become a card base. Set both pieces aside on the pile to be scored. And the rectangle that fell from the end, place it in pocket C, Charlie. You've got this wider strip here. We'll trim at 11 1/2, 5 1/4. Rotate the 5 1/4 so it's vertical, and trim at 3 1/2. Now take this larger piece that's in the base of your trimmer and place it in pocket B, Bravo. The 2 little pieces that fell from the end, A, apple. And then this larger panel here, pocket C, Charlie. You get these 2 little scraps that fell from the end. I'm going to put those in D. And then we have this narrow strip. Now it's really narrow, so if I were to put these strips up against the top, it might be kind of hard to see my measurement. So if I bring it down a little bit, I can find 6 1/4. And notice the top edge of the strip is resting against the line that marks the inches here. And I'll just cut that at 6 1/4. And both of these pieces will go in pocket B. Now, those pieces would have been a scrap, but later on, as I was doing my final card assembly, I incorporated them into the inside of the card. You know, sometimes if you don't feel like messing around with those little strips, that's fine. Just leave them out. Otherwise, I like to rescue them from the circular file, if you know what I mean. Okay, so now we're gonna do it 2 more times, 2 more papers rather. 1 more time. We've got our manila, making sure the grain dips from top to bottom. And then on this guy, it's just so heavy. I have to push in, feel for least resistance, the least resistance, and that goes in top to bottom. And let's go ahead and cut this once again at 11 1/4, 7, rotate, and cut at 10. We've got 2 cards to be scored, and then the strip for pocket C, Charlie. Take the strips rather, 2 at a time here. We'll cut at 11 1/2, 5 1/4, rotate that 5 1/4 so it's vertical, and trim at 3 1/2. All right, so this panel, pocket B, Bravo, and then the strips A, Alpha, and the larger panel C, Charlie, and you've had some scraps that fell originally, D, David. Now our final strip here, we're gonna trim at 6 1/4. And let me just even up those ends, rest them against the line. And all 4 of the uneven ended pieces, pocket B, Bravo. Now, if you'll bear with me for a moment, grab your ScorPal. I'm gonna show you my favorite time-saving trick. This is where we score once, we cut once, we make 4 cards. We're gonna score twice, actually. Okay, I'm gonna take the ivory that we've all queued up here and place it vertically in my ScorPal, which I just have sitting on top of my trimmer. And with the round tip of my metal tip stylus, the largest tip, I'm gonna engage at 4 1/4 and score vertically, okay? So again, vertically into the ScorPal, find 4 1/4, and in this case, the 4 1/4 number on my ScorPal has an asterisk If you need a ScorPal, we carry those as well. That's it. I'm going to set the ScorPal aside, and then I'm going to take both pieces of the 8.5 by 11 scored paper, place them horizontally into the trimmer. That means so that you're going to cut through the score line and cut it 5.5. All 4 of these card bases you made go in pocket A, and just be mindful of that little trick. If you're making 100 shower invitations or wedding invites, and you want to make them out of 8.5 by 11 papers, or even 12 by 12, if you strategize properly, that's a great time saver. Okay, now we're moving on to 1 sheet of the print. Just make sure that you grab only 1. And since it's an all over pattern, it doesn't really matter how it goes into the trimmer. The paper will also not be folded, so we don't need to worry about the grain. I'll cut at 11 3/4, then 8, and 4. Now, take the 4-inch piece you just made and the one that just landed. They should be the same. We're going to cut them in half at 6 inches. So just go ahead and find 6 for both pieces. That gives you 4 pieces of the same size per pocket C, Charlie. And then I'm going to take the remaining piece here and trim it at 10 and 5. Now you made 2 panels that are the same for pocket A, and this last little piece that fell from the end is a scrap. I'm going to plop that in D in case I decide to use it later. And now I'll grab my other print. Nice easy cuts here. 9 3/4, 6, and 3. Now gather up the piece that you just made and the piece that just fell. They should be the same 3-inch size. Stack them neatly together, and we're going to cut them in half at 6. Our magic number of the day. All right, all 4 of these matching pieces, pocket B, bravo, and take the next strip. We'll cut at 10 and 5. And both of these panels go in pocket A with a scrap that fell. And believe it or not, I did not use this large piece. Now I have to tell you, I've got some narrow strip scraps. I've got these printed scraps. And if you are subscribed to the Club Scrap blog, there are some awesome ideas on the blog as to how to use these scraps. Even these little pieces can be used. You may want to pick up some coordinating papers for this, or shop your stash for pieces that match. But Karen and Julie have done an amazing job showcasing ideas for using those little strips that are left over. Okay, now let's move on to trimming our Cutaparts. And fair warning, on the perimeter of your Cutapart sheet, there are instructions to remove just the paper that's beyond the cutting guide here. So when I just start cutting this edge away, I can't really see down here at the bottom of my trimmer base where that mark lines up with the cutting blade. So I'm just gonna cut shy of the line and then rotate the paper. And now that I've got some of that paper gone, I can see the mark here and here. Keep rotating and removing until you got yourself a perfect little 12 by 12. And the only reason I have you do this is because at the printer, getting that cut to the precision level we require just isn't guaranteed. So I've added the sizing to the paper to ensure that we start out with a perfect 12 by 12, exactly aligned, because if it's not right, it creates this butterfly effect of error, in the cutting. And I just want to be more precise than that. So let's trim this now that it's 12 by 12. All that excess is gone. I've got the row of 1, 2, 3, 4 Cutaparts on my right. Nice easy cuts here, my friends. We're going to trim at 8 and 4. I don't even have to look at my instructions. You can even stack up the 2 4-inch pieces you just made. Trim at 6. These are the inside sentiments for card set C. C, Charlie. Okay, then this next strip here, we're going to cut at 9, 6, and 3. So 9, 6, and 3. All right, you've got 4 are the same, pocket B, bravo. That's it for that strip. Okay, now I need to repeat the removal of the edge. So I'm just gonna do that first one shy. Oh, I got a little too shy on that first one. So now I just am going to make my way around, and you do the same thing. Pause me as long as you need to get those edges all cleaned up, and then dispose of those tiny little strips. And then we'll trim the sentiments apart and get those filed together. So here we have the cut apart, and I want you to make sure this little decorative strip is here on the right, and place that at 11 1/4, then 10, 6 3/4, and 3 1/2. Rotate the 3 1/2 so that with loving sympathy is on your right. We'll trim at 11, 10, 9, 8, and 4. Gather up the 2 pieces that are the same size, the 4-inch pieces for pocket A, and, you know, as well as all of the other little 1-inch strips that fell, also pocket A. Now this next 2 strips are trimmed the same, so we can stack them together, save a little time, and cut at 10 and 5, and plop all 4 of these sentiments into pocket B, bravo. The 2 that fell from the end, the shorter guys, pocket A. Now we're gonna have some fun here. Let's take this next strip. We'll cut at 10, 8, 6, and 4. 4-inch piece, I didn't use it. Pocket D, didn't use. Now here I have a funny story to tell. We have 4 sentiments in here, 2 happy birthday and 2 I just hugged you in my thoughts. Get rid of one of them that says I just hugged you in my thoughts. Just get rid of it. And in your kit, I have lovingly added a correction, added a piece that says love, gratitude, and joy. I apologize. Human, made a mistake. I checked the Cutaparts when the proofs came in. I made the cards, saw the mistake. I forgot to tell Jacqueline to make the switch. It went to press. Everything was put together and bagged and good to go, and then I found the error. So I thought the easiest way to correct the error was to provide you with a substitute. So we had it printed, place it horizontally into the trimmer at 1.75, so 1 3/4 of an inch like this, and that little love, gratitude, joy will fall off the end, and it's like the mistake never happened. This little piece with the instructions, throw it out. All 4 of these smaller pieces, pocket C, Charlie. Again, I apologize for the error, you know, human moment, right? And then this guy too is pocket D. And that leaves us with nothing left to trim. So I'm going to lock my blade and substitute my trimmer for my ScorPal. Be mindful that your accordion pocket file is designed to be held up by the base of your trimmer. So once your trimmer's gone, this needs to lay on its back. Don't count on it staying up on its own, even if it might initially. I just would hate to have it fall on the floor or tip over unexpectedly, and then you're going to be really sad, and we don't want that. Now, right on the top of the stack of papers that I set aside, there should be, in my case, it's this gold color, and if I look here, it reads out what is 7. Here it's a 10, so it's in here horizontally, and I'm going to score it in half at 5. Then the next sheet on my stack is manila, scoring at 5. Then sky blue, scoring at 5. And the dusty blue, 5. So all 4 of these pieces were the same size. They're all going to be placed in pocket C, Charlie. And then we have the smaller pieces. Let me just look at my instructions here a moment. Okay, so when you place this in the trimmer, it's going to be 6 1/4 by 10. So our first number to score here is at 2 1/4, and this has the texture side should be facing up, so 2 1/4 and 6 3/4. Repeat for the manila, 2 1/4, 6 3/4. Repeat for the sky blue, 2 1/4, 6 3/4. And lastly, that dusty blue again, 2 1/4, 6 3/4. Pause me if that was way too fast. I tend to score very quickly. I've been doing it for years, so just pause me and then I'll wait for you and we'll get started assembling those cards. To assemble the cards in set A, first thing we're going to need to do is find all of the pieces that we have set aside for card set A. And that includes those ivory card bases that we scored so efficiently. I'm going to take the card bases and find the bump of the score line on each card base and fold it in half. I always line up the edges of the card before I make the final crease. Never implicitly trust a score line, okay? I just always want to visually align those corners so I have a beautiful foundation for my cards. And here we go. The rest of the items in that pocket, boy, it's really helpful if you can sort them a little bit into stacks by size. We have a lot of things going on here. So I'm seeing some larger. I always start with the largest pieces. Then we've got some printed panels. We have some various sized sentiments. We have squares, 4 larger and 4 smaller. So you can get those sorted out. We have some narrow strips here. We've got our smaller sentiments here. And a bunch of small squares. We'll get those piled up nicely. Okay, I think I'm pretty well organized. Now, I'm going to lay out the 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each card is going to receive a large plain colored panel. So let's go manila, dusty blue, gold, and light blue or sky blue. Then each one is going to receive a printed panel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are always easiest. I like those. Okay, now we have the set of 4 large squares. So continuing to add variants of color, I'll go dusty blue, gold, sky blue, manila. Introducing another color. How about gold, sky blue, manila, and dusty blue. Finally, we have these squares. So I'm going to go manila, manila. So I'm going to go upper or lower left and upper right. And then sky blue, which is the color we have not yet seen before on this card here. Then how about dusty blue, manila, manila. Then on this one, I'm going to keep the dusty blue and then do gold and gold. Finally, gold, golds, and sky blue, sky blue. So now we're getting there, right? How about some sentiments? With loving sympathy, you are amazing, and happy birthday. We also, I'm going to add these, these were strips rescued from the, recycle. Okay. Let's add a color now. I'm going to go with manila on this one, sky, dusty blue, and gold. Lastly, we'll do In Memory of a Life So Beautifully Lived on both of these sympathy cards. And then I'll always remember your kindness, and you're not over the hill, you're on the back 9. Bump. In your kit, you've got a bunch of envelopes. I'm taking the smallest set of envelopes, and I'm going to take the 4th card here and slide the ingredients right into that envelope. And if you want, you can also grab one of these really pretty gold rings and place it into the envelope as well, since a gold ring will be used on each of the cards. Now there's also a gold paper clip. Those will be used in a different set, so don't mix up the ring, from the paper clip. So card 3 I'll add it here. Card 2, I'll add to this. And just trust me when I say that all of these cards are assembled the same exact way. So once you've done one card with me, you've done the other 3. I'm going to begin, I'm going to trim off 2-inch pieces of this really beautiful ivory twill. I'm going to grab my corner rounder. I have a corner rounder punch that I carry for now. It has 3 different radius sizes. So the R4 is the smallest round, the R7 is medium, and the R10 is larger. So what I did here as a simple strategy was I rounded 3 of the corners, one at R7, one at R4, and one at R10. Now, if you don't have a corner rounder, just skip this. If you do have one, but it's only 1 radius, no problem. I would just advise that you only round 3 of the corners of each of the squares. It kind of just gives it a funky, modern look, okay? So my plan is this. I'm going to take one piece of the twill, thread it through the gold ring. Then I'm going to center the ring onto the square. Get my tape ready. I got my cellophane tape right here. And once I spread out the twill and wrap it around to the back, like so. Okay. I have the other piece prepped, so I'll just come in, thread it through the ring, spread those ends. Cute. And you might say, what's the purpose of this embellishment? The only purpose is to add a little something, something, right? To make it look sweet on our card. Okay, so here I'm going to rotate the squared corner, that one, the 90-degree corner. And I'm going to put this one up. Let's see, this one, I'm going to put the square down here. And this one, I'll put the square in the middle. Does it matter where the square is? No, I'm just telling you where I put my squared corner. The randomness to me is what makes this look so cool, okay? So whatever your little heart desires, we got a little reveal here happening, but these squares fit so nicely onto the larger square. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my ATG adhesive to the square. Now, while I'm doing this, I just want to explain that the type of adhesive that you use is totally your personal choice. I will say, however, that this ATG style gun, while it may have a little bit of a learning curve when you're first starting to use it, is really efficient. Now, one thing that you could do if you wanted is you could have added some texture to these squares. I chose not to. I just feel like I've got a lot going on, and I liked the simplicity of this. And now I'm nesting my square with the squares onto another square. Then I can take this guy, and I'm just going to separate it out here. I'm going to nest this onto my print so that the reveal of the print showing is the same left, top, and right. And then I have my sentiment here, the with sympathy, with loving sympathy. I'm going to lay this right on top, and I'm going to put it kind of near the bottom so I can see some of that print in there. Then I will add adhesive to the back of the print, layer it onto the plain panel. You may notice that there's a change. This usually the print in the past at Club Scrap has been cover weight. I'm just kind of playing around with using a text weight print. You can do some more fun folding things, and it also adds a little bit less weight to the card, which is one of the things I liked. That's the front. So sweet. Now, something to carry through our theme. I'm going to take the R4, which is the smallest radius. I'm going to round 2 corners rather on the long edge, and just place this, kind of nestle it near the fold of the card. And then I'll put adhesive on the back of this guy and attach it to the inside. There's my finished card. I got my beautiful, super smooth ivory envelope to go with it, ready to pop in the mail at a moment's notice. And then the remaining 3 cards, those are ready to go too. All I have to do is just follow the same assembly adhesive steps, and you're done. And we're moving on to card set B. Go ahead and empty that pocket and organize all the pieces according to size. Okay, with that organizing done, I will take my cards. I'm going to flip them all over so the bumps of the score lines are facing up. And then here, I'm going to take the more narrow side of the fold, make sure it's level with the card base. That's going to be on the right side of the card. And then the wider fold, once again, making sure it's level, that's going to be on the left. So narrow fold right. And as you're folding, it doesn't even really matter. Like I can rotate this so I can be in a more comfortable working position and then rotate it back so that the wide flap is on the left. Just always make sure that the bumps of the score lines are going on the insides of the folds. Very good. Now, let's get these arranged so we can distribute all the pieces. For that, I usually just consult the instructions and duplicate what I originally did there. So we'll go with gold, and then this dusty blue, sky blue, and manila. So each one of these, it's nice and easy. This is going to get a print. I'm just going to kind of slide things in so that they don't get lost. Each one will get a narrower strip. So let's go with sky blue on this one, gold here, manila, and dusty on the manila base. Then we're going to have a panel. We're going to use manila, sky. I'm just going to slide it in again so it doesn't get lost. Sky was here, dusty is here, gold is here. And again, basically I'm just introducing as many colors as possible. Okay, let's add some sentiments. We're going to use good friends here, one moment here, good friends here, one moment here. For the inside, things like your smile, here's to celebrating, things like your smile, and here's to celebrating. Lastly, we have all these strips. Now there are tall strips and short strips. So let's do the tall strips first. Sky blue, manila, gold, dusty. Now the short strips. Dusty, sky, manila, gold. Those are all the pieces I had in the folder. So I'm going to take all the pieces for this card, place it right in the envelope. Now this is the medium-sized envelope, also known as an A6, and it will accommodate a 4.5 by 6.25 inch card base, which is what we've got here. So the last three cards are going to be in the envelopes, and then this gold base one, let's make this one together. You're going to love how simple this process is going to be. Now to get things rolling, I'm going to grab this gorgeous gold pearl ribbon here. It's knotted up with my thin ribbon, and I'm gonna just check the grain direction of the ribbon, because when we wrap with ribbon, it does have a grain, it does have a direction it wants to go, and why fight it? Also, if your ribbon does happen to have some wrinkles in it, a little trick is to run it through a mini flat iron. They sell those cute little travel hair flat irons. You can use that on ribbon. In fact, we actually created an Amazon affiliate store with links to all of our favorite things. I will put the link to the affiliate store in the video description below so that you can find it if you're looking for a cute little flat iron to flatten your ribbon if it got wrinkled during shipping. Now, while I was yakking about that, I added the ribbon to the right edge of this sky blue panel. And then I'm going to add some adhesive and grab my card base, and it should be the right size to nest onto the right outside short flap. See how that works? Then you have your printed panel. I'm going to center that onto the wider outside left flap. Nice. Okay. Then we have this, and this card is so simple. It's It's wonderful. I mean, sometimes you just need a simple set of cards to put together that are elegant, flat, ready to mail, right? Okay, then we have our larger and our smaller strips. Again, I'm repeating a trick that I did with set A by just simply rounding 2 long edges on the R4, or the smallest radius. And so when I go to the inside of the card, I guess I'll do that first. I'm going to take my longer piece and put it right kind of next to the fold of the left flap. And then I'm going to shove this one right next to it, centered top to bottom. And then I'll add the inner sentiment. Things like your hope, things like your smile, your hope, and your courage. Thinking of you. How lovely is this? Room to write, room to write, room to write, close, close. Now our sentiment needs to go on the outside. If you want, you can actually use a ruler to help you center that. The magic number here for centering is a 1/2 inch. So basically, I don't even need to measure. I just need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes from the left edge of the card, and then 4 cubes, 1, 2, 3, 4, up from the top and bottom. We don't want to put any adhesive. Notice I have this panel turned over this way. I want to stop with my adhesive, nothing past the edge of that fold line, okay? Or the edge of that flap. So 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes on this ruler from the left edge and the bottom edge will center me perfectly. And my card is complete. That almost seemed too easy. Goes into the beautiful envelope sized just perfectly. And that concludes card set B. Go ahead and empty the pocket labeled C and sort all of those pieces out by size. Okay, let's take our card bases and once again folds so that you're burying the bump of the score line. Bury the bump of the score line. Oh, it's such a habit now, isn't it? I know a lot of you who have been taking my classes for a long time. It just automatically, it's automatic, like breathing, like blinking. It's just, you know what to do. It's instinctual. Is that a word? Instinctual? I think so. All right, let's distribute the card bases for this. So we're going to go manila. How about dusty blue, and then a horizontal gold and a horizontal sky. Nice. We got some larger panels here. Dusty blue, gold, sky, manila. How about a printed panel? I just love the simplicity of these cards. Such a relaxing class to teach. Then you have some narrower, shorter strips. These should be the same height as the printed panel, okay? Let's add gold, again, incorporating more of the colors. Sky, manila, dusty. There are 4 tags in your kit. And then we have these sentiments. We'll go love, gratitude, joy. I just hugged you in my thoughts. Happy birthday and happy birthday. Now, if you've skipped ahead and didn't do the instructions with me with the trimming the Cutaparts, love, gratitude, joy, that was a replacement that should be in your kit. You're instructed to trim it off and get rid of the I just hugged you in my thoughts that doesn't match the inner sentiment. It was a mistake on my part. Mea culpa. I'm human. Sometimes, yeah. I don't like it, but I am. All right, so there you go. We've got our sentiments here, and now we need a gold clip and our inner sentiment. So this one should be, may your heart be filled with all 3. I hope you felt the squeeze, and then you are a blessing, and you are a blessing in countless ways, and you're celebrated with joy today. Love that. Taking my envelopes, my A7 envelopes, which house a 5x7 card. Load up the cards 2, 3, and 4. And here I have the first card. Let's make this one together. Nice and easy. I'll give you a couple of tips. You have been provided with 2 yards of this uber long satin ribbon, nice and thin, and I'm going to fold it in half twice. Okay, then with scissors, I'll trim the loops so that I'm dividing the ribbon quickly and easily into 4 equal lengths. And if you'd like, you can distribute the ribbon to the envelope too. I mean, because when I just thought of this just now, could have done it sooner. But that way you have the perfect amount of ribbon allocated for each card. I'm going to take my Love, Gratitude, Joy and my corner rounder once again, and I'm going to just, wherever the art dictates, I'm going to do an R10 in the upper right and an R7 in the lower left, just for a funky look. I'm only doing 2 corners. Oh, I love that. And that's going to go onto the scalloped or the rounded edged tag, the craft tag. And if you wanted to, you could ink edges here. Totally your call. I'm keeping it simple because I love the simplicity of this set. I mean, we can go round and round with all kinds of fun ideas, but sometimes just keep it simple, right? The next thing I'm going to do is add the clip. Now, when I do that, there's a short end and a long end. I'm putting the long end on the front just so I can see more of it. And I'm letting the top of the clip hang off the edge a little bit. So it's kind of clipping the sentiment on there too, but I'm not putting it all the way down. Otherwise it looks like a weird oval. Take your ribbon, fold it in half in the way that it wants to go so that it, turns inward. Find the looped end and thread it through the back to the front of the tag. There we go. Catch it, open the loop, and bring the ends through. Nice. Next up, I'm going to take my strip here, and I will put some adhesive on it. I'll grab my grid ruler. I'm going to go in about 1/4 of an inch from the edge here of the print. Drop it down. Then I'm going to nest this onto the colored panel, but don't put it onto the card base quite yet. Okay, so just center that. Now I'll take my tag that has the ribbon attached and I'll add adhesive to that, and I'm going to place it like, I'm going to go this way with it. That's kind of sweet. At the bottom, split those ends up like so and bring them around to the back. And I have more than enough here. So I'll tape those in place and trim the excess. And here we go onto our card base. So with adhesive, as I was working, I realized I never really showed you the finished cards, like, in the remaining 3 cards in the set. And I'm going 3/8 of an inch from the edge, the bottom, and the top. That puts me at center. And again, every cube on this 2x8 grid ruler, and I will add the link to the ruler in the description, every cube is 1/8 of an inch. So 1 cube, whether it's formed by a dashed line or a solid line, is 1/8 of an inch. So this is just a great little tool to help you stay level, centered, not tilted. I had this terrible tendency to tilt everything. And then I walk away and realize it's not level. Drives me nuts. So here I'm adding the inner sentiment. I think it's going to be 1/2 inch on this one. So that's 4 cubes. You don't even really have to measure. I'm just looking at cubes. Yeah, 4 cubes, top, bottom, right edge. There we go. Love, gratitude, joy. May your heart be filled with all 3 today and always. That could be an anniversary card. It could be a get well card. It could be a happy birthday card. It could be a thinking of you card. I love these neutral cards, especially when I get the sentiment right on the outside. It's amazing. All right, so that would be one of the cards. Then you're going to do, okay, you've got 2 with vertical. The 2 horizontal, guess what? They get assembled the exact same way, just in the other direction. Okay, so it's the same order. I put the clip on first, then added the ribbon. Oh, apologies. I forgot to have you distribute these 2x7 inch strips. I'm so sorry. I added a little color then to the inside of the card. Let's see. I think the sky is missing here. The sky is missing. Can I still get it off? Sure. It's kind of close, but the longer it sits there, I feel like the harder it gets. But have you ever done that? Have you ever had to go back and remove? Oh, I have. Okay, I'm going to add this to the right edge. And oh boy, I really like to measure. So I'm going to give that a 1/2 inch. Okay. And then I'll add this again. There. That's fine. 1/4 inch, you could have had it centered. That's probably what I did. Let's take a look. Yes. Put it in 1/4 inch from the right edge. All right. Let's see where these other colors go. I'll help you get them filed. So the card with the sky blue base gets the gold strip. My apologies. The card with the gold base, it's going to get the dusty blue. And the card with the dusty blue base gets a manila strip. There. Now you are complete. We have our amazing set of cards that are just very sweet and beautiful. And we're done. Well, we're not done. Go back, finish the remaining 3 cards from each set, lickety split. Once that's done, you'll have a set of 12 beautiful cards ready to go anytime you need them. Now, if you enjoyed this class and you liked the collection, be mindful that we also have a page kit. You can make 8 really cool round and round pages, 12 by 12 scrapbook pages with our round and round kits. And if you want to become a member of the Club Scrap family, we would love to have you. Remember, anyone can shop, but members always save. So go ahead and give us a try as a member. You're going to love it. Before you go, don't forget to make sure you hit like, leave me a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our fun upcoming workshops. I look forward to seeing you again soon.